Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease. By making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself, 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wished that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good, so let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week, and I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Welcome back to another edition of It Feels Good to Feel Good. And I want to thank you because you have made me number one on my channel for voiceamerica.tv. So I know that people are getting increasingly interested in health, and I have a study to share with you from Google that shows what the number one things were from last year that were Googled, and they do have to do with health, probably because of our COVID situation, which we're finally seeming to come out of. But this is part 4 of things that you can do in 2022 that you control. No one has to give you permission to do any of these things. You're obviously not going to do them all at once, but pick them, watch these, and pick which ones you can implement, because they will all make a significant difference to your long-term health as you are taking care of your life and your body for your future. Now, we have made it to number 33. And what we're going to talk about, I went over toxin awareness rather quickly at the end of the last podcast, so I want to touch on that again. You have the ability to read the ingredients on any product that you're using, and there is a giant database in the sky called EWG.org, which is the Environmental Working Group. I support them. I strongly recommend that you support them because they are continuously doing scientific studies on the things that big food and big commerce are putting into our products. And if you don't know what the ingredient is, you can look it up on the ewg.org website, and you can determine if the toxicity of that product, or at least that ingredient, is too high for you to use it. When I got sick with autoimmune disease, I literally went through every single product I was using and traded out the toxic products for things that were far less toxic. Now, that's what I wrote my first book on, which is called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again. And in there, you can see all the things that I found in my life that were highly toxic and what I traded them out for. And I explain everything that I learned as I started on my health journey to ditch my pain because I could not operate. I was girl interrupted. I was a girl in bed. Every joint and every muscle in my body hurt. And it took me a long time to eliminate all the toxins that I was using in my life. But at the end of it, I was relatively pain-free. So it has made a huge difference in my health. Now, I still have autoimmune disease. I will always have autoimmune disease. And so I did just get COVID. I was vaccinated. I was boosted, but COVID did attack the same areas of my body that my autoimmune disease attacked, in that I got severe aches in my pain, in my joints and my muscles, but I went through it in 24 hours. And that's because my immune system did protect me. I have done enough work on my immune system, and with all of the phytonutrients that I'm eating by eating the rainbow, that my body went through the entire COVID experience in 5 days. My temperature never went over 99. I lost my voice completely and got severe laryngitis and a bad sore throat, but I never had a problem breathing. And so I'm sharing all these things with you because wherever you're weak in your body is where all these things accumulate. You go over into toxic load. Toxic load is what causes inflammation. Inflammation is what causes disease. Now, what kind of diseases are we talking about? We are talking about autoimmune disease, which is what I have, and everybody wants to know which one do I have. Mine is called undefined autoimmune disease. Even though there's 140 of them, I had to get a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, and a little bit from column C. But it still has all the markers of autoimmune disease. So that's one of them. Heart disease, which is the number one thing that kills Americans, is in the category that it is caused by inflammation. Leaky gut is one of the things that creates inflammation. Liver disease is one of the things that is caused by inflammation. Cancer is one of the things that is caused by inflammation. So no matter what is in your genetics, all of these things that I'm sharing with you that will improve the health of your body today going forward will help you not turn that genetic signal on, because you are controlling your body and creating health for your future so that your genetics never gets realized if there's something in your family history. And this is what's important. Now, of all of it, in my opinion, the most important is what you eat. And at the end of this, I am going to talk about what actually is in the standard American diet and what Big Food has been doing and who they've hired to make sure that you get as hooked and as addicted as possible. But there are 50 things on this list. So pick and choose, because wherever you start, everything you do is a step towards health. And the decisions you make today and put into place will impact where you are tomorrow. And I'm very passionate about this because I don't want anybody to go where I went. And so I constantly am still searching for missing pieces of my own puzzle. And at the end of this, we're going to talk about some of the things I've learned recently that were those missing pieces. But we're to the point where we want to talk about toxins in your products. So pull out all your products, line them up, start at the bottom of the list, and start looking them up on the EWG website. And if they're toxic, put it aside. You know you're going to want to find a lower toxin item. You're going to put it into a bundle or into a container that you can buy at Walmart or Target. You're going to put a lid on it. You're going to take it out to the garage until you replace it. You're only going to bring it in the house when you're going to use it. So let's say it's an air freshener that takes stinks out of the air. That's toxic. So you don't want it in your house because, believe it or not, it's off-gassing all the time. And by off-gassing, it's creating toxic air in your house. So my first point is make sure you're aware of what you're using and that you take the time to be proactive to look up what the ingredients are and then trade them out for lower toxin items. Okay? Next up on the list is coffee. I get asked all the time, do I have to give up coffee or can I drink coffee? Well, my first point about coffee is that it's a dirty crop. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that it's heavily sprayed with toxins as it grows. So if you're going to drink coffee, you want to make sure that you're drinking coffee that has not been sprayed with herbicides and pesticides because your body can't handle that and eventually it will topple you over into toxic load and make you sick. So that's the first thing about coffee. The second thing I want to point out about coffee, which someone in my private Facebook group pointed out to me, is that the way that coffee is harvested is toxic to the environment and to the birds. The Smithsonian organization actually has a recommended way to harvest coffee so that it's not killing the birds. Sometimes they put nets and they shake them and they take them up and they get all the birds in the netting and the birds all die. You don't want a coffee that does that. The coffee that I buy, which is Moraga, he is very concerned about the environment that his workers work in. He is very concerned about the community that his workers are growing coffee in because all of that is not, if it's toxic in the way that it's grown, it's hard on the birds, it's hard on the workers, they get sick, and it's hard on their communities. So whatever coffee you decide you want to drink, make sure that it's clean and organic and be aware of how the coffee is harvested. Now, what do you have to be aware of when you're going to drink coffee beyond that? I kept reading in some cases people said, yeah, it's fine to drink coffee, and in other cases they said, no, you can't drink coffee because it's bad for you. The bottom line is it depends upon your body, and the crucial point is how healthy are your adrenals? If you're waking up with brain fog and with fatigue, then you are overloaded with your adrenals. I could probably do a podcast just on the adrenals, so look for that in the future. But if you're not waking up with brain fog and you're not waking up fatigued, more tired than when you went to bed at night, both of which were true for me, if you're not, then coffee's fine. I wouldn't drink more than 1 or 2 cups, but if you are waking up fatigued or you are waking up with brain fog, then get your adrenals healthy before you start drinking coffee because the caffeine is more stimulation and will exacerbate your problem with your adrenals, okay? Coffee is actually an antioxidant, so it's not all bad. There are some wonderful elements to coffee. Just be aware and proactive about what you're drinking. In the blue zones, people drink 2 to 3 cups of black coffee. Now, remember what I told you the blue zones are. It was a National Geographic ongoing study about where the healthiest people in the world live, and they drink coffee. So they're aware of the antioxidant nature in the coffee. But they eat so healthy, and they are so healthy, they don't have the adrenal issues, so they can drink the coffee. So you have to monitor for yourself whether it's good for you or not. The American Heart Association found that consuming coffee was associated with a lower risk of total mortality. So it's not bad. However, you don't want to be adding a lot of sugar and cream to it. Sugar, because sugar impacts every organ in your body. We talked about sugar as an individual subject, and there's so much sugar in the standard American diet. You don't need to be adding sugar to your coffee. So there's a whole bunch of new sweeteners out that will not change your blood sugar and that will not impact your body. We're currently using monk fruit that is drops that only has monk fruit in it. It's super sweet, so if you choose to use monk fruit, be very careful how much of it you use because you can immediately get more sweet than you want. But there's also a bunch of new sweeteners like allulose out that have not been shown to have a detrimental effect to the body, but would sweeten your coffee. So be careful what you put in it. If you really have to have cream in your coffee, make sure that it's full fat coffee and preferably organic full fat creamer, because by doing that, you are also getting all the goodness from the fat. And they manipulated us to think fat was bad. And in reality, fat is good for the body. Every cell in our bodies needs the fat. So if you're going to use the cream, make sure that it's the full fat and make sure it's organic dairy, because they're putting hormones, they're putting antibiotics, they're putting all kinds of crap into our cows to get the dairy to us so that the cows can produce as much dairy as possible, and you don't want that stuff in your body either. Same thing with tea, by the way. Herbal teas should be organic, and caffeinated teas should be organic. Those are also dirty crops, and when they pick the leaves, they don't wash them. So if it's not organic, you're getting all of that poison in your system with every cup of coffee, so it's important. Okay, next up on the list, you want to take a moment every day for mindfulness. Mindfulness will improve your creativity and make you aware of what others in your environment are feeling. And how do you practice mindfulness? There's a lot of ways, but one way is just being quiet and allowing you to go into yourself and listening to your body. Another way is to do yoga, which is a mindful practice. Another way is just to go out into nature and let the wind blow through your mind. Whatever you're doing to quiet your mind and quiet your body is a mindful practice, and you should get in the habit of doing that a few moments of every day. So taking a break during the day with a few quiet moments, or meditation is another form of mindfulness. Those are also crucial habits for success. So centering oneself and being mindful of your emotions and your environment promotes creativity and will give you new solutions for any problems that you have in your life. It will calm your busy mind. It will help you sleep at night because you have gone into yourself and found ways to solve all of your critical issues. It allows a leader to be more empathetic with his team, and it helps them to navigate more effectively. Being mindful centers a leader to be less rattled by the constant change that's occurring around him all day long in his business activities. It also centers you to be more aware of what's going on in your family. And it centers you to be able to ask your body questions. One of the things I recommend, and you've heard me say this, is every morning when you get up in the morning and you look in the mirror, ask your body, how does it feel? Because the time to react is not when you get sick like I did. Your time to react is that morning, because if you're not feeling 100%, go through your mind, figure out what you did that made you not feel 100%, and adjust immediately. This allows you to be aware of alternate solutions, and it centers your mood and your effectiveness. Okay, next up is nurture your religion or your spirituality. Not everybody is religious, but most people do believe in something. So if you're spiritual, nurture that. If you're religious, nurture that. But you want to make time to make that an important element of your life. And if you're agnostic or you're atheist, that's fine. You should have time where you can contemplate what that means to you as well. People who pay attention to their spiritual side have lower rates of cardiovascular disease, depression, stress, and suicide, and their immune systems work better. To a certain extent, adherence to a religion allows them to relinquish the stresses of everyday life to a higher power. That's a direct quote from Dan Buettner, who is the gentleman who is doing the study for the blue zones for National Geographic. They have found that nurturing your spirituality or your religion is an important element to your future health. And belong is one of the blue zones, power 9. And one of the ways to belong is to belong to the universe. So it's important. It's also important, as you'll remember, my number 1 issue on this list was community. You want to belong to a community, and you want to belong to the universe, and you want to understand what that means to you. Next up follows right along, and that's gratitude. Every morning when I get up, I make a list of 3 things that happened recently that I am very grateful for. I also make a list of 3 things that I want to be grateful for that haven't happened yet. I call it my practice of practicing future gratitude. So I thank the universe for allowing me to manifest where I'm going in a positive way. And I see where I'm going in my mind's eye. That's all part of my gratitude practice. This starts your day off on a positive mindset. Writing down what your accomplishments were from the day before, whether they're big or they're small, and giving yourself credit for them. I call that giving yourself credit for your big and little victories. That's all part of it. And being grateful at that moment frames your new day in a positive light. This allows you to give yourself credit for what you've accomplished, and genuine gratitude focuses on what is good in your life right now. It'll make you happier because you're focusing on what's good and you're not just grumping about what's bad. I just found an interesting story on LinkedIn, which I posted in my private group, about are you a duck or are you an eagle? A duck squawks all the time to his other duck friends because he's complaining all the time. And as a result, he's not a very happy duck. But if you're soaring above the rest as an eagle, then you're a much happier bird. And so you want to be the eagle. You don't want to be the duck. And if you live your life as if you're soaring above whatever your problems are, you're being mindful of them and you're finding solutions, you will live a much more productive, much happier life. Then I believe that gratitude is an active verb. So after you figure out what you're grateful for, go find those people and thank them, because it's a plus, it's a win-win. It'll make the people that you're thanking happy, that you've acknowledged them, and it'll make you feel good that you actually took the time to genuinely thank them for what they've done and added to your life. In my second book, I have an entire chapter on gratitude. It's called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin and Community. Both books, by the way, together have won 24 awards, so they're valuable books, and I strongly recommend you get them and you read them. At any rate, my chapter on gratitude talks about a man who loved coffee. And he loved coffee so much, he decided he was going to find everybody who had anything to do with his cup of java in the morning, and he was going to go tell them how grateful he was for them. And he started at the New York water supply, and he went to where they built the dam that brought the water into New York City and thanked all the people that worked at the dam. He ended up going all the way to Costa Rica to where they grew his coffee. The workers who were growing his coffee thought he'd lost his mind because he went into the fields to thank them for making the beans that he was making his morning java from. But all in all, he touched hundreds of people's lives by actively finding them and sharing with them how grateful he was that they had something to do with bringing him his first mindful moment drinking his cup of coffee in the morning. So you can't take this too far. You can take it to the nth degree, but make sure that you write down what you're grateful for, and then you take it to the people who have created that experience for you and thank them for it. It could be your people who work for you, it could be your family, it could be your business partner, it could be your customers, it could be your suppliers, whoever it is. Express your gratitude to them. You'll feel good, they'll feel good, and people who are appreciated want to do more good things for you. So it will bring more good things into your life as well. Okay, we're going to shift gears completely because next I want to talk about sensitivity tests. When I got sick, I had no idea that I had a sensitivity to 18 different food items that I was eating, which meant that when they went into my gut, they had leaked through at some point over the course of my life and created a hostile reaction with my immune system. Now, there's a couple of different ways to find out what you're sensitive to. You can do an elimination diet by eliminating groups of foods and seeing if you feel better, if you have pain or brain fog, or you're not sleeping, or you have agita all the time, or whatever your health situation is. You can eliminate them one at a time and then record, does it make you feel better? If I had done that, I would never have found most of the things on my list. Number one on my list was chicken. I never would have eliminated chicken. Who knew that that was a sensitivity of mine? But we had gone through a period where we ate a lot of chicken because red meat wasn't supposed to be good for us. And I had built up a sensitivity or an intolerance to chicken. And to this day, I cannot eat chicken. When I eat it, I immediately get all my autoimmune sensitivity reactions again. So one way is to do the elimination diet. The other way is to take a test. I took the test. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of $300. I'm on Medicare. Medicare covered it the second time I took it because it got added to their list of things that they would cover. But even if you pay $300 for it, eliminating my sensitivities was my first giant step back to health. It was the first thing that made a significant difference in how I was sleeping, how I was feeling, how my brain was working, the pain level that I had, everything. So they can cause significant pain, and if they're not removed and your gut does not heal, then there is something called multiple system autoimmune disease, where you start to accumulate more than one autoimmune disease. So let's say you have what I have, which is undefined autoimmune disease, and I didn't take care of it, and my sensitivities continued to be hostile in my body. Then I might have gotten MS, or I might have gotten IBS, or I might have gotten Alzheimer's. All of those are autoimmune diseases. And your body, because you're not healing what the core cause of it is, your body starts to attack other areas. And the area that your body attacks is where you're weak. It's an interesting thing where it actually feigns tissue in your body where you're weak, and that's where your body gets attacked. So knowing what your sensitivities are is important. My favorite test is the Genova. Ask your doctor if he could order the Genova test for you. If he won't order it, there is one at Meridian Valley that you can order for yourself. And so they're in Seattle. You can look them up. You can order the test. You prick your finger, you send it in, and then you get a 1-hour consultation with their functional doctor that explains what you do about the sensitivities that you have, which will be amazing in terms of helping your immune system. It calms down your inflammation, which means it sets up your body for a healthy immune system for your future health. I have avoided all 18 of my sensitivities like the plague. I have just started introducing a couple of them back into my diet. One of the things I had sensitivities to were all of the herbs, mint, basil, and I seem to be able to tolerate them now because for 9 years now I have not eaten them. So you don't necessarily have to give them up forever, but you have to judge and be aware of how your body is feeling if you start to reintroduce them so that you don't create havoc again. Okay, next up is back to socialization. Find a hobby. And it can be a hobby that you do on your own, like knitting. My husband does rugs that he hooks, and it relaxes him, and he loves it. Or join a group and do painting or whatever creative project makes you happy. It's important because it could be a book club, it could be a garden club, it could be all kinds of things. So find a hobby, join a group, create a additional layer to your community because those people will support you in your future, and that's all really good for your health. Okay, next up is, can you ever find a cure to what's ever going on with your body? I will tell you that it's not going to come from a pharmaceutical. What a pharmaceutical does is mitigate whatever your symptom is. It's good that we have pharmaceuticals that help us mitigate all of our issues, but they don't cure anything. The only thing that has been able to be shown can cure the body is from food from the pharmacy, and that's Pharmacy. If you eat the rainbow, if you eat all the beautiful phytonutrients that are available in the rainbow, you can actually start to cure your body from the inside out. Now, since it's not likely that you hear that when you have a chronic condition, I want you to think about being ill or having a disease in terms of being out of balance. And then it begins to make more sense that by making sure you're getting all those beautiful phytonutrients from all the different colors of the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible, and you want to eat them as quickly as possible to when they're picked, your body can come back into balance. And by coming back into balance is when you can start to cure. The human body is dependent upon its environment, and that means both external and internal. And the ways that you disrupt your body are poor diet, lack of exercise, exposure to toxins, a poor stress response, lack of sleep, isolation. We are social beings after all. Lack of love. We are very dependent on that. And usually we acknowledge that love is a very positive motivating force in to our psyche and our life. And the belief that we are more than we can see. So all of these things fit into that. So if you want to cure your body, remember what I just read. Okay. Next up is how to eat healthy, live healthy, and prevent disease. I sort of went through this just a moment ago, but eliminate all these foods. Sugar, soda, processed carbs, trans fats, processed meats. Eliminate all omega-6 vegetable oils. Most of them are genetically modified anyway, and we're way out of balance because we have way more omega-6s in our bodies than omega-3s, and what we need are omega-3s. A little side note. I just took a test to see what my omega-6 ratio was to my omega-3 ratio. In the United States, the omega-6 ratio is something like 24 or 45 to 1. I don't remember exactly what the number is, but it's way out of whack. Ideally, you want to get to 1 to 1. But mine came out 6 to 1, which means that I am way better than the majority of the population, but I'm not quite there yet. Now, why is this important? For the last 5 years at least, I have only used omega-3 oils in my cooking, and that's pretty much what goes into my body. So be aware of what the omega-3s are: olive oil, grapeseed oil, ghee, coconut oil, avocado oil. All of those are omega-3 oils. They are generally not grown with heavy pesticide or herbicide use. They're not genetically modified, and they're really good for your body. They're good for your brain. They're good for your cells to be bathed in them. They're good for everything. So, You want to not use the other vegetable oils, which is soy oil and corn oil and canola oil. You want to be using the omega-3 oils and bring your body back into balance. You want to eliminate fast and processed food. You want to eliminate all the synthetic chemicals in your food that you cannot pronounce and you don't know what they are. I started looking up all the chemicals that were in my food, and I decided if it was a chemical I didn't recognize, I wasn't going to look it up anymore. I just was going to put it back on the shelf, and I wasn't going to put it in my body. Since then, I have read that if I don't know what it is, neither does my body. So you want to be reading all the labels when you're buying food. You want to know what you're putting into your body, and you want to stay away from what I call crap: carbonated, refined, artificial, and processed food. What do you want to be eating? You want to be eating wild salmon and fatty wild fishes. Why is that? Because they're loaded with omega-3s, which we just explained that you need. You want to be eating berries and cherries because they're very high in antioxidants and they're super good for your body. But again, they can be dirty crops, so you want to eat them organic. You want to be eating especially green apples, but sour apples particularly, and you want to eat the skin. And apples can be a dirty crop, so preferably you want to buy organic, and they're loaded with pectin, which is really good for your liver, and loaded with fiber, which is really good for your gut. You want to be eating foods that are high in fiber. Those are beans and nuts and seeds. And carnivorous vegetables, and you want to be eating your fruit with the meat of the fruit because you want the fiber, which will slow down whatever the natural sugars are in the fruit. You want to be eating pastured meat, or meat that eats his own specific diet. That means grass-fed, grass-finished beef. That means grass-fed bison. That means pastured chicken. And we just talked about what pastured chicken was in the last show. It means those chickens, they're skinnier than other chickens because they don't have all the chemicals in them to make them fat, but they've been running around eating grass and twigs and bugs and berries, so they are way better for you. Lamb eats grass, so he's fine. You want to be eating lots of vegetables. Be aware of what's on the Dirty Dozen list so that those for sure you eat organic. And you want to look up what the toxins are on your fruits and vegetables so that you're aware. It's pretty appalling. Some of them are neurotoxins, some of them are hormone disruptors, some of them are killing all our bees. And if we don't have propagators, we don't have food. So be aware of what is sprayed on your fruits and vegetables, and then decide accordingly whether or not you're going to buy them organic or you're going to buy them conventional. You want to be eating dark chocolate. Chocolate is not bad for you, but you want to eat chocolate because it's an antioxidant and you want to have it be low in sugar. So 70% or higher is the chocolate that you want to eat. You want to be eating garlic and turmeric and onions and prebiotic foods, which I have a list of that we're going to go through in a little bit because they're really good for you. You want to be using turmeric because it has curcumin in it, which is really good for your body. But when you're eating curcumin, you want to add a little black pepper to it, which is also really good for your body because it releases the curcumin that's in the turmeric. You want to be drinking pomegranate juice that's not been sweetened, and green tea and red wine. And you want to be using extra virgin olive oil. And since the olive oil industry got the mafia involved with it, just make it simple for yourself and buy olive oil that's from California, because there are laws that control that it is olive oil if it says it's from California. And then you want to make sure that you're including all the omega-3 oils. And then you want to cook, because it's the only way you can control what you're putting into your body. You want to eat multiple foods in each color. So when I say eat the rainbow, I don't mean that you're only going to eat red peppers. I mean you're going to eat every kind of red vegetable you can find, because diversity is a great thing, and different red fruits and different red vegetables have different qualities of that category, and your body can utilize all of them for health. So diversity and variety is wonderful. You want to avoid GMO foods at all cost. We did have GMO on the ballot here in California at one point, and it failed because they had so much misinformation out there about what it was. GMOs means one of two things. Now there's some other things that it means that are also heavily toxic. But the two main things it means is it's either grown with Bt toxin right in it, which means if the bug bites it, it blows them up. But unfortunately, it also blows up your good gut bacteria, or it's been made Roundup ready, and we all now know that Roundup is glyphosate, and they lost a lawsuit. And Bayer, which bought Roundup right after the lawsuit was lost, has paid out over $80 billion to people who were harmed from using glyphosate and eating glyphosate or spraying glyphosate on schoolyards, which is what the lawsuit was about. You want to make the following lifestyle changes. You want to reduce your stress. You want to meditate or practice deep breathing. You want to get 7+ hours of sleep. You want to move every day. You want to practice self-care. You want to express your emotions and be authentic. You don't have to do it in a hostile way. There's an awful lot of people who seem to think that being in your face and nasty is something that they have a right to do right now. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sitting down and expressing your emotions in a loving way to get the change that you need from the people that you love in your life. You need to play. You need to laugh. You need to get into nature. You need to cultivate intimacy and pleasure. You need to gather a supportive community of people who are there for you to support you. And most of all, you need to enjoy your life. And if you do all those things, then you will have created an environment for future health for your life and your body. These things all add up to lower inflammation, healthier hearts, healthier livers, healthier kidneys, healthier lungs, a healthier brain, and a healthier body. Now, how did we get into this whole situation where we were eating so much sugar and not eating any fat? Well, it's because there was a study done in the 1960s that was funded by Coca-Cola that was discovered a couple of years ago that Harvard and Stanford were actually paid to prove that sugar wasn't bad, but that fat was. And it kind of made sense. They came up with the idea that fat made us fat, when in reality, fat does not make us fat at all. Sugar makes us fat. Sugar also makes us sick. Sugar is directly responsible for triglycerides. It is dotted line responsible for cholesterol. It is directly connected to high blood pressure, and it impacts every organ of your body. Whereas we need the healthy omega-3 fats for the same reason that we don't need the sugar. It's good for every cell in our body. So when science meets marketing, the first casualty is often truth. These days, science doesn't just meet marketing, it's married to it. So when you read one of those double-blind tests that big business, big food, big agriculture, big pharma has put out, read the dotted lines and read what the study was really all about. Because a lot of times, if it's starting to get results that they don't want it to get, they cut the study off so that they don't have to talk about that. Studies are not necessarily what they appear to be on face value. Okay, I want to go into talking about vitamin D and vitamin D's relationship with magnesium and how important both of them are to our bodies and to our long-term health. First thing is, when you go to your conventional doctor next, you need to have him check your vitamin D and your magnesium. They're that important. I have originally read that magnesium was responsible for 325 enzyme reactions in the body. I then read that it's really responsible for over 500 enzyme reactions in the body. And here's the thing. If you don't have adequate vitamin D, your magnesium cannot do its job because both are needed to create all those enzyme reactions. Vitamin D has a huge influence over your health, Besides your thyroid hormones, this vitamin is the only other thing every cell in your body needs to function. So one of the recommendations if you're having any problems sleeping is to get outside in the morning for 5 minutes to reset your circadian rhythm and to get your first dose of vitamin D from the sun. Now, a lot of you live in climates where you don't have sun first thing in the morning, especially in the winter. But if you can get outside and see the natural light, that will help you sleep at night. And that's also very important to your long-term health. Vitamin D reduces your risk of cancer. It's very heart healthy. It lowers your high blood pressure. It promotes happiness. It lowers depression. It allows calcium to be absorbed for your bones. It maintains all your fast twitch muscles so that they can aid in the prevention of falls. It supports weight loss. It helps lower and control blood sugar. Who knew vitamin D did all of this? It supports weight loss. It helps lower and control your blood sugar. It boosts your immune system and helps you prevent colds and flus. And it helps you prevent COVID-19. It fights disease. Vitamin D, and I'm talking mostly about vitamin D3, by the way. You can get, if you're vegan, you can get vitamin D2, but it's not as effective in the body is what they're discovering. So if you're not vegan, make sure that what you're getting is vitamin D3 because it's the one that has the most powerful impact on your body. It fights disease. Vitamin D3 improves memory. Vitamin D3 ensures a healthy pregnancy, and it improves cholesterol. Your skin, liver, and parathyroid and kidneys are all part of the body's vitamin D production. So if there's any kind of impairment in any of these organs, then your vitamin D is also impacted. It's important to maintain the calcium in the body, and even more important for ensuring adequate dietary calcium. Vitamin D3 supplements may just be enhanced with some additional support, such as that from vitamin K, and calcium. And magnesium, as I said, is required to activate the vitamin D, as is vitamin D required to activate magnesium. And high levels of vitamin A may compromise your vitamin D levels. You can take vitamin D as a supplement, so when you get tested with your doctor, if you're low, find a good supplement from a quality company and enhance your vitamin D that way. Okay, so what's the relationship between magnesium and vitamin D in your body? If you want good vitamin D at levels, there's new evidence that our bodies can't metabolize it without sufficient amounts of magnesium. This means vitamin D remains stored and inactive in at least 50% of Americans. So you're not getting the advantage of the vitamin D that you do have if you don't have adequate D and magnesium. The problem with vitamin D supplements is it can increase a person's calcium and phosphate levels while they remain vitamin D deficient. Taking vitamin D supplements without realizing how it gets metabolized is not useful and may not be safe even. It's estimated that half of the population is consuming a magnesium deficient diet. Magnesium is the fourth most abundant mineral in the human body. Foods high in magnesium include almonds, bananas, beans, broccoli, brown rice, cashews, egg yolks, fish oil, flaxseed. Flaxseed's very high in magnesium. Green vegetables, milk, mushrooms and other nuts, oatmeal, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, soybeans, but make sure they're organic because 95% of the soybean crop is genetically modified, sunflower seeds, sweet corn, tofu, and whole grains. So it's important that you monitor how much of each you have. Low magnesium intakes are related also to greater risks for accelerated aging, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, chronic inflammation, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, sudden cardiac death, osteo, migraine, headaches, asthma, and other chronic conditions. Now, I had a really hard time getting my magnesium to stay up to level. And it ends up because I am diabetic. I was taking metformin, and metformin was ripping the magnesium out of my body and making it unusable. So if you're taking any medications, look up and see if they are robbing your body of anything else, and then adjust. I'm not saying don't take the medication, work with your doctor on that, but do be aware of what the downsides of that medication are so that you can adjust. There is a wonderful book called Drug Muggers by my favorite pharmacist who runs the Ask Your Pharmacist syndicated column, and she's also a functional practitioner. She's written this wonderful book that tells you if you're taking a pharmaceutical drug, what it's taking away at the same time that it's giving. So you need to be aware of that. There are two basic things I want you to know about magnesium. It's needed for all of those enzyme reactions, and no one gets enough of it. So when I was having a hard time getting up to snuff, I take a high quality magnesium supplement that has 3 different kinds of magnesium in it now. I take 2 every morning and 2 every night, and then I take an Epsom salt bath at night. And by taking all of that as supplementation from high quality sources, my magnesium is finally where it's supposed to be when I get tested. So just be aware of it so that you can react to it, so that you can booster it in your body. Now, what are the different magnesiums? Citrate is, okay, magnesium can't be out there and be supported on its own. It binds to a salt, which is why there are different kinds of magnesium. The first one is one that's called magnesium citrate because it's bonded to citric acid, which makes it a better absorbed magnesium. It's the perfect natural cure for constipation, and that's important because when I got the second COVID shot, I got constipated and it lasted for months. So it was only by finding this new magnesium pill with 3 different kinds of magnesium in it that I have been able to be regular again. And so, and I'm also getting my magnesium up to snuff, so it's important on both sides. The dose, by the way, is and you can't overtake magnesium, but if you do overtake magnesium, you'll know immediately because it gives you the opposite problem from constipation. So if you reach that, back off of how much magnesium you're taking. The next kind of magnesium is glycinate. It's bonded to the amino acid glycine, which relaxes your muscles. We use a magnesium spray if we ever get a pinched nerve in our back or a pinched nerve in the middle of our back that goes down our sciatica. The magnesium spray is wonderful because what it does is it relaxes the muscles around the nerve, which allows your spine to go back into the right place, which means that you stop pinching the nerve, which means that the pain goes away. And the magnesium spray we use is called Ease. Then there's magnesium taurate. It's harder to find, and it's especially good for your heart because it's bonded to taurine, which is an amino acid that has cardiovascular benefits. You can also absorb magnesium quite well through the skin, which is why Epsom salt baths are such a wonderful thing. Vegetables, nuts, and seeds are your best natural food sources. Our ground does not have anywhere near as much magnesium as it used to. So it's very important that you regulate this by knowing how much your body has. And then along with your vitamin D and your fish oil, which I recommend for everybody, it helps your body function perfectly. Okay? These are the different kinds of magnesiums. Okay, next up I want to talk about why it's important to eat green vegetables. Now, it's important to eat every color, but green offers you something really special, and that is that it gets its green color from chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what plants make for themselves for food, and its benefits are amazing, and magnesium is the main component of chlorophyll. From National Geographic, green plants have the ability to make their own food. They do this through the process called photosynthesis. You may remember that from when you were in elementary and high school, which uses a green pigment called chlorophyll. This pigment is a molecule that is a particular color and it absorbs light at different wavelengths depending upon the color. So essentially, by eating chlorophyll, you're eating sunlight, and that's super healthy for your body. There are many different kinds of pigments in nature, but chlorophyll is unique in its ability to enable plants to absorb the energy they need directly from the sun in order to build tissues. Other benefits of chlorophyll: it fights cancer, it improves liver detoxification, it speeds up wound healing, it improves digestion and weight control, and it protects your skin health. The primary reason that chlorophyll is considered a superfood is because of its strong antioxidant and anti-cancer properties, and because it gives huge support to your immune system, all of which is very important. And it contributes to it takes care of oxidative damage in diseases like cancer or liver diseases. Okay. I joined a program through the New York Times that was how to lose weight, because I wanted additional tips for my own class, which has been enormously successful. And the thing that she talks about when she first introduced her class was that in 2021, the #1 term that was searched for on Google was healing. And I'm sure that's a direct result of COVID. You can boost your immune system because if you're eating the rainbow and you're getting all those beautiful phytonutrients, you are supporting your body in a way that it can defend itself against disease. This year, searches for how to heal was at an all-time high. Across the world, we are looking for ways to become stronger. And trust me, it is not eating the standard American diet. We reflected on difficult times, and we continued to test our resolve. We thought about what we lost and who we lost, and we asked about how to honor the people that we loved that we lost. We looked inward, searching for how to take care of our mental health because of the amount of devastating loss we were dealing with. And we asked the big questions about how to be yourself and what is my purpose. I will tell you, I do believe my purpose is sharing all this information with you about health. We also looked outward. We thought about what we could do to rebuild and strengthen our communities. We searched for how to make sustainable choices and how to stop hate and how to support people in need across the world. We look to move forward searching how to make a comeback. So all of these things that I have talked about, which are the things you control to improve your future health, are part of your hope for the future. And I think it's probably the reason that my podcast is #1 on my channel, because I talk about ways that you can enhance your own health and as a result have the right attitude because you're impacting your mood in a positive way. So it's how to be hopeful in 2021. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to go a little bit over, but I think this is important, is I want to talk about the people that Big Food has hired to put chemicals into your food to make you eat more and buy more and want more because they're literally addicting you to the food. There are many different things that these food scientists do. They're designed to make you coming back for more and more and more, and they are trying to increase their share of your stomach. So that's why I want you to stop eating the standard American diet, because they own your stomach right now, and I want you to start eating all of the live whole foods that will own your immune system and give you long-term longevity and health. Doesn't matter how old you live if you're not healthy. It does matter how well you live and how well your body is. You should go there. To understand the research, you have to speak the language. There's mouthfeel, maximum bite force, an important concept of sensory specific satiety, at which product loses its appeal as it's being eaten. They want to make it have appeal as long as possible, which means where it stimulates your taste buds on your tongue becomes really important. And it sends signals up to your brain that damper down your feel-good hormones so that it's lighting up your dopamine, which makes you feel good. And all of that makes you want to eat more of this food. But these chemicals are offering you no nutritious value. They pay attention to the overriding flavor. If it's attractive, it will be really attractive to us initially, but then we could get tired of it quickly. So they want it to be eaten nonstop until the packet is finished. And then they want you to want more and go buy another packet so you get the same pleasure point from it. It has a taste signature. It dampers down your taste buds so they don't taste how good all those beautiful vegetables and fruit taste. You got to get pulled away from the addiction before all those taste buds come back and you start to realize how much your body has craved real fruits and vegetables, which it has. And you're starving your body if you're only eating the standard American diet. You're not giving your body nutrients, so your body's holding on for dear life to every nutrient that it is getting. So that's one reason why America has become so obese. Our bodies are holding on to what little nutrition we're getting from this food. It doesn't want to let it go. And so by getting rid of that food and getting off the addiction, then we start to get back our taste buds and we start to get all those beautiful phytonutrients, which do bring nutrition to our body, and then our body starts to crave real food, which is an amazing thing. They don't want you to ever feel satiety. So it actually turns off your two hormones that regulate appetite. We've talked about that in a couple of podcasts. Having an intense at the front of your mouth that dies off quickly is a good thing, so that as you've finished each mouthful, you want to retaste what you've lost and you want it to light up the same section of your brain that it's been doing. The crunch is crucial because auditory is an important factor of wanting to eat more, and the overall sound level being increased makes you want to eat more. Is this like unbelievable? They think about all this and they build it in to all those boxes of processed and fast foods. So don't get conned. Essentially is what I'm telling you. They have, by design, addicted you, and you can break the addiction. You just have to stop eating them. Stop eating the sugar, the omega-6 oils, and all those processed chemicals that are in that food that have you addicted. It's not easy. I had a horrible flu. Actually, getting off of processed food and the standard American diet was harder on my body than getting COVID. I was in bed for 3 days and everything in my body hurt. But when I came out the other end, I had food freedom, and food was no longer calling my name from the kitchen, and it was wonderful. So don't be afraid to stop eating the standard American diet if you can pull away and stay away from it for at most maybe 3 weeks. For me, it took 3 weeks. For some people, it could take a little longer, no matter how long it takes. For most people in my Ditch the Diet class, it takes less than 2 weeks. So get off that food because it's really unhealthy. It's mucking up with all your feel-good hormones, and it's not giving your body anything that's building it for longevity, for your long-term health. And understand all those chemicals are also really hard on your beauty, on your skin, on your cells, on every organ in your body. You don't want to be eating that food. You want to be eating all the beautiful phytonutrients that are in the rainbow from the farm as close to you as possible. Just a couple of other comments here. In the early 21st century, the average human is far more likely to die from binging at McDonald's than from drought, Ebola, or an Al-Qaeda attack. Think about that. In ancient agrological um, agricultural societies, human violence caused 15% of the death. During the 20th century, only 5% was caused by violence. It's caused here throughout the world from suicide, depression, diabetes, diseases that could be avoided if we would change how we eat. And the last one is there should be parameters on what exactly constitutes a state of emergency. I can think of a lot of things that are valid for a state of emergency than 36 cases of measles. You might want to think about the state of emergency from eating the standard American diet, which is causing our children obesity. It's causing diabetes. It's causing our brains not to function at their full impact. It's slowing learning. It's dumbing us down. It's doing all kinds of nasty things to our bodies and our long-term health. The standard American diet is killing us slowly in normal times as well as in COVID time. It is estimated by the functional medical community that 88% of us are metabolically unhealthy. So all these things that I just gave you to choose from to start adding into your daily regime will help you live a long life and be metabolically healthy. And by being metabolically healthy, whatever that thing comes along in the future, whether it's another COVID or whatever it is, your body will be ready to attack it and keep you safe because you'll have a strong immune system. If you haven't been eating a diet that has been emphasizing whole foods, then you do not have healthy gut bacteria. So I think next time where I'm going to start is talking about your gut, how to get a healthy family of gut bacteria, what to eat to have healthy bacteria, and then how that has a vagus nerve that goes right to your brain and creates mood and your thinking patterns and everything else that goes on in your body. So I've given you tons of food for thought. And I want you to go through and take a look at all of these things that you can choose from. Doesn't matter what order you choose from, although I would start with food because that will give you the biggest bang for your effort. Start to eat real food and then start to do breathing exercises, practice mindfulness, deal with your stress. Get 7.5 hours of continuous sleep. If you don't get the 7.5 hours of continuous sleep, believe it or not, I just read that scientists are discovering the brain starts to eat itself because it didn't get adequate sleep. I don't want that. I'm 73 years old. I want to grow old and keep what brain I've got. So choose which one of these things you want to do. Start with food and then start adding in all the other things. Start moving a little bit every day. Get out into nature. Practice mindfulness. Whatever it is, practice gratitude. Make your day a better day. Make my day. Remember that phrase? Whatever it is, start to include these aspects into your life so that you have a healthier tomorrow. Because don't forget, if you're proactive, you can do all these things yourself without anybody's permission, and you can live to old age without getting sick and without needing to take tons of pharmaceuticals, which they're connected with big food. They want you to get sick so that they can sell you lots of pills. So stay healthy, take care of yourself, make conscious decisions, what goes into your body and how your body exists in its environment. And don't let anything you inherited from your genetics get turned on so that you get sick, because you control all of it. So thank you for listening to me. It's my pleasure to bring you all these puzzle pieces that I have discovered for my own health. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Hello, could I see a show of hands if there's anybody out there like me who's tried to lose weight their whole life and not been successful? So you've tried all the different diets available. You've tried Weight Watcher. You've tried Jenny Craig. You've tried all the New York Times bestsellers. And the last time you did it, you started off great, just like all the other times. And you started losing weight. And then all of a sudden you fell off the horse. And before you know it, you're eating fast food and processed food again with all that sugar. And you don't even know why. And in the end, you've gained more weight than where you started out. So you now are beating yourself up that you just don't have the willpower to win. If that's you, I want to address the elephant in the room, because 9 years ago, I got autoimmune disease and started researching because I didn't want the pain that came with the autoimmune disease, and the added benefit was I lost the weight along the way. So let me tell you what happens. Big Food doesn't want you to win. They've rigged the system. They've put so many chemicals into fast food and processed food that they light up the brain like a pinball machine. It's the same part of the brain that goes off for cocaine and heroin, and you feel great when you eat that food, but it's not making you feel good, and you're starving your body for nutrition because it's loaded with empty calories, so you're getting fat eating that food, and it's not giving your body what you need. And it's turning off all your own feel-good hormones of serotonin and dopamine and even your insulin, which keeps your moods even. But worse than that, there's two little hormones here at the back of your neck called ghrelin and leptin, and they don't work, and they regulate your appetite because all those chemicals have subdued them, so you don't even know when you're full. So what did I learn to do instead? I'm eating the GLAD diet, loaded with all the phytonutrients that my body needs to be healthy and to thrive and to boost my immune system and to ditch the pain. And along the way of eating all this live food, I lost 60 pounds without dieting. You see, I was starving my body for nutrition when I was eating the standard American diet, and now that I'm giving my body all those beautiful phytonutrients, it's not holding on to it anymore, so it's just dropping it automatically. So don't eat the standard American diet. I don't want you to get a standard American disease, and I certainly don't want you to die the standard American death. Instead, start eating the GLAD diet, because by eating all those beautiful phytonutrients, you will be healthier and you will live long and thrive. Thank you.